Today we're going to combine Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta, two of the world's best managers, all into one amazing and broken FM24 tactic. If you do enjoy back home, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And once again, if you enjoy rebuilds, we have got a second channel. Come on over and find it in the description for the best rebuild content you will see. Let's go over and break down the first set of results where we send Man City and Arsenal in a clash in the Premier League. That is right, we did test with Man City and Arsenal with updated signings, and they went head-to-head in the Premier League, and you can see who come out on top just by 5 points. Both putting in a fantastic season, and we are going to showcase both sets of stats as well. But alongside of winning that Premier League title, of course, a Champions League title for Manchester City and a Carabao Cup title coming in 5-1 against Arsenal. So maybe the Man City quality, of course, they have got the better team. Maybe that is the real big factor in this scenario. But the Premier League, you are going to see a basic perfect mixture of Arsenal players and City players. We actually go invincible with Man City despite playing Arsenal with this broken tactic twice. Arsenal only lose one game again, which was against us away as well. So that really was the nail in the coffin. 167 goals being scored. I'm only going to showcase these stats once because obviously it's in the same league. So you can see here with Arsenal as well, 139 goals. The most shots, very close from Arsenal as well. This is very, very close. Possession, Arsenal edged it by literally virtually nothing. Both on 63%, but of course, they have got some real technical players in that system. And the pass completion, Arsenal actually 2% favoured. Most dribbles, they favoured that as well. And the conceded, they did concede a few more, but still absolutely rock solid at the back. Now, the data hub, we are going to go and look at 4.39 goals per game, only 0.24 conceded. Now, I will say this is mainly down to the sheer amount of the ball we had. It still is a very good defensive tactic, of course, but you do have really good levels of the ball, and of course, you've got the ball, the opposition can't score. But despite that being said, we're still having over 23 shots a game, we're having a great tackle-win ratio, and a good pass completion, so do you know what? It's very, very impressive, but how did these stats actually compare to Arsenal? Because we can probably get a bit of a better understanding then. Arsenal, we actually do go on to win some trophies. We are going to win that Community Shield 1-0 against Man City, and the FA Cup 9-3 against Leicester. So a very, very strong game there. Of course, runners-up in the Carabao Cup and the Premier League. And I won't show the stats again, but of course you can see one last time how close that actually was. And let me know in the comments, do you like me sending two teams to fight it out in a league? Because I personally had a great time doing it, seeing how two powerhouses battle it out using the same tactic. And the performance, again, it's very, very good, but of course, not as many goals being scored. They don't have a Haaland, do they? So they haven't got a De Bruyne, someone like that. Conceded at 0.39 as well. Good amount of shots, better pass completion, and a better tackle-win ratio. So overall, I would say Arsenal were a lot more better in terms of the tiki-taka, the possession, the control. Maybe could have done with a few more shots at goal, but of course, it is what it is. It's still two incredible teams going right at it. And I will say, both of the tactics that we tested with are going to be the default variant. Of course, we've got 3 for you today, but these both were using the default Pep x Arteta. Also got a sort of underdog tactic theme because obviously you do need it for those of you that are playing as weaker teams. And the first one is going to be a little bit of an almost season because we're not going to win the French League, but we do have a great season with Monaco securing second place by quite some amount. And I will say, only 2 points behind PSG, nearly going invincible. And if you were playing this back home and not simulating like I was the entire season, what you could do is use this defensive tactic. And then obviously we had 9 draws. And I imagine a lot of them draws were, look at that, 0-0s. We're not conceding goals, rock solid at the back. So go into the games with this defensive tactic and make it more attacking to get your goal, then go right back. Because defensively, this tactic's absolutely incredible. Also runners up in the Trophy de Champion. And to be honest with you, if we actually go over and look at the date hub, we can see it still really good stats. 0.29 conceded with not the strongest team in the league. It's the goals per game, which is where we could have done with a little bit of a boost, shall we say, but still a really, really good season with Monaco. Again, no additional signings compared to what they have done in real life, and I'm going to take that. And you know what? That's not the last test. I've treated us to 4 tests today, so we're going to jump on over and see how we done with Bristol City. Bristol City, a team predicted to finish 21st, and usually when I'm playing with a team like this, I sometimes say, do you know what, I'm going to go attacking and catch teams off guard. So we actually are going to use the attacking variant for this entire season, and as you can see, it did work. We did draw, we did obviously lose 4 games, but we are going to go out and win the Sky Bet Championship, and do you know what, that is an absolute remarkable season. Predicted 16th, finished first place, a load of players coming in the stat lines, and again, goals, we're going to be dominating. 114, and also defensively incredibly impressive. Joint there with Leeds, to be fair. Possession went a little bit out of the window in the attacking variant because it's a lot more sort of shot focused and go, 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 but it worked incredibly well with Bristol, as not only are we going to take home a Sky Bet Championship title, we are also going to take home a beautiful set of stats which we can really be proud of over here on this channel. And I will say, you're looking at it on Bristol City, Monaco, City, Arsenal, the Pep X Arteta, it's got a nice feel to it. So let's go over and watch some highlights. It's got to be from Arsenal and City, really. And then we're going to break down this immaculate tactic. A nice game against Newcastle in the league, which is going to be a 4-0 win. And as you can see, the play looks so simple. Into the right, bang into the middle to Odegaard. Now with Martinelli into Kai Havertz, out on the left, back into Martinelli, who lashes it into the top left-hand corner. Absolutely sublime. With Gabriel Jesus now finding Martinelli down the left-hand side, back inside, past Nick Pope. And that is going to be a comfortable 3-0 lead with a set piece coming in. And that's why you should get them. Now a Manchester derby where we did take control by winning the game 5-0. I am sorry to the United fans, after seeing that Tottenham result, you're now seeing this. But it is going to be a very good performance from this Pep X Arteta tactic, and it is absolutely brutal. It takes us chances, it's really good from set pieces as well, and the play is just, it's made to look so simple, but you know back home, it's not that simple all the time, and we've made it look absolutely amazing, with Walker finding Foden down the right-hand side, taking time on the ball today, and actually going alone and sticking it into the left-hand corner. Nothing United can do, and you know what? They allow a 5th to go in. Onana doing Onana things. Now, of course, over to your favourite part of the video, that is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying back home, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And once again, I will say, if you do enjoy rebuilds, do come over to the second channel, because we're posting consistently for the rest of this year. And next year, we're going to be posting every 2 days a brand new rebuild for your entertainment. So be sure to go over and check it out. But to make this tactic, you're going to want to load in a simple create your own style and a 4-3-3. Let's go and create some history. So then, let's go over and talk some player roles. So the first thing you want to do is make sure it is on that clean slate and change the mentality right off the bat to positive. I do want to quickly say as well, if you do want to save yourself a bunch of time and get access to all 3 of these tactics in one simple fast download, get them on console, get them on mobile, get them early. Also, you now see the video on Patreon, so you can skip all the ads. You are also going to get all of these wonderful perks, rebuild files, giveaways, and so much more. Do come over and check out the Patreon, where you, that is right, you can be part of a team of close to 5,000 people, where you're getting endless content per week. But let's go over and talk about the goalkeeper. Now, there's only really one role we can use, and that is going to be the sweeper keeper, who is simply going to come in and be set to the supportive duty. Fullback on the right-hand side is going to be a fullback, and we are going to add some instructions. That's going to consist of running wide with the ball. We're going to have him set to also tackle harder alongside of Mark Titus. So a player that is going to run wide with the ball, not going to be ridiculously attacking, because of course we can have him on get further forwards, and that might change in the attacking variant. But for the default variant, we are going to keep it nice and simple. And to partner him on the right-hand side, we are going to go with that ball-playing defender, who is simply going to be set to Mark Titus as well. This is pretty much more of the Arsenal side, and the left-hand side we are going to go with, as you can tell, the Man City side. A Libero coming in, who is simply going to be set on the default instructions. I didn't really want to add anything else. He doesn't need to stay wide. He doesn't really need to be dribbling more. Just simply be a default Libero, and that'll be absolutely perfect. And because, of course, he is going to push up a little bit into this sort of area here, on the left-hand side, sorry, we are going to go with an inverted fullback, who is simply going to be set to defend. Of course, he has to be. And we are going to go and have him on simply Mark Titus. So the great thing about this backline is it all offers something very different. The right-hand side, you've got a player that will push up and help the attack. The ball-playing defender, who obviously will find really good passes, but also be very defensively resilient and, you know, not really push up too much. And the Libero, he is going to push up, get involved in the play, and the inverted fullback, of course, can cover him. So it does really protect itself. And, of course, in transition will shape up somewhat like a free back when this libero is going to push up and occupy the DM. Now, going on to the DM, funny enough, we are going to go and have him simply onto support, and he is going to have some instructions that is going to be dribble less and also set him to mark tighter again. We are going to be in quite a tight marking system. Very hard to break down, the DM being quite not very risky at all, to be honest. Dribbling less with the ball, marking tight, and simply doing his job to the best of his ability. Simple as that. Now, for the right-hand side of the midfield, we are going to go with a central midfield player on support, funny enough, and he is going to have some instructions. We are going to have him set to moving into the channels, roaming, and also tackling harder. A player that is going to find different areas, move into different channels, and roam about, and really be a nuisance for the opposition, alongside of the next role, which is really going to be your creative talisman, which is going to be the Mazzala, who is going to have one instruction simply on dribble more, meaning he's also going to be getting forwards, moving into channels, and roaming, and of course taking more passing risks. A player like this is absolutely essential for this system to be honest, to really work and get the best out of it. Now, going over to the wingers, that is right, the wingers on the right hand side, it is going to be a winger set to attack, and we are going to have a few instructions, so let me lock in and explain. So we are going to have them on cut inside with the ball, shoot more often, roam from the position, tackle harder, and also mark tighter. So this player is going to be perfect. He's going to be cutting inside, having cracks at goal, roaming about, but also when he's trying to chase the ball down, he is going to be putting in challenges and also going to be quite tightly marked to his man. So make sure you got these instructions applied. Again, this always goes for my tactics. If your player can't shoot, if you're playing quite low down with this default tactic, although you should be using the underdog one, if you are using this one, do not have shoot more often on, because that will simply frustrate you and you will not have a great time. The winger on the left, however, is also going to be set to attack, but not as many instructions on this occasion. Roam from position, going to have him set to tackle harder and also mark tighter. So we've got one winger, of course, who is going to be providing the width out wide, because we've not really got too many options with wingbacks overlapping here. On this side, the fullback might push up, so it's very important we've got this player cutting inside, so the fullback, if he does overlap, won't really collide and sort of almost get in the way. And lastly, I have favoured Erling Haaland being in this mixed team, and we are going to have two instructions on the poacher, roam and simply tackle harder, and that's going to give you the player instructions for the default version, but of course, team instructions. So let's get into it. So again, the clean slate on, the positive mentality, to make that very clear. We're going to go all the way up to fairly wide. We're going to pass into the space. The final third, we're going to go for low crosses. We're going to work the ball into the box while playing out from the back. The tempo is going to remain in the middle, but is not going to be slightly higher, as we have the passing all the way down to much shorter, which actually has the tempo to slightly lower. In transition, we're going to counter press and counter, pretty much expected, and we're going to play to anyone across the back line while taking short goal kicks, which again does favour the Arsenal side more, because of course Ederson, you would simply have it like this, because Ederson sometimes does pass where he sees, but for this tactic we are trying to mix both styles together, so we are going to play to that entire back line. And lastly, a pretty neutral from both teams, a high press line of engagement. We're going to deploy the much higher defensive line, a maxed out trigger press, prevent short goalkeeper distribution. We're going to get stuck in and also step up more. And that's going to be your default. Now to the attacking one. For the attacking one, I've actually changed it from attacking to more underdog, but it is actually attacking for the sense of an underdog team, if that makes sense. So just to clear this up, this was the tactic we used with Bristol City, to make that very, very clear. So the goalkeeper does remain the same. The fullback on the right is now going to have run wide, stay wide, tackle harder, and mark tighter. So one more instruction. The ball playing defender on the default. A central defender comes in to replace the libero, so again a little bit less risky. Another fullback on run wide, get further forwards, tackle harder, and also mark tighter, so a lot more of an aggressive backline despite playing with a weaker team. A DM comes in on support, but this time more direct passes, dribble less, and mark tighter. The addition of more direct passes shows how more sort of we are going to commit going forwards, maybe not as tiki-taka inspired, but more of get the ball moving sort of vibe. A central midfield player on support, on take more risks, roam, moving into the channels, and of course tackling harder. And next to him is going to be that wonderful box-to-box on support, on get further forwards, and also tackle harder. Again, a real big change in midfield that still allows us to go forward with midfield players, but maybe not as aggressive as a Mazzala, and of course another central midfield player that is purely focused on attacking side. Now the winger on the right and also on the left are going to be exactly the same, both cutting inside to allow the fullbacks to push up. We're going to roam, tackle Harder and also Mark Titer. Notice there is no shoot more often, because when you're playing as a weaker team, chances are you're not going to have finishers like a Foden, like a Grealish, them sort of levels. We are going to have them not shooting more often, because chances are your wingers haven't got that great shooting. Of course, if they do, then do have it on. And lastly, the poacher, he is going to remain exactly the same. To the team instructions, the mentality is going to go to positive, and in possession, this is where it might shock you a little bit. So the width is going to remain the same. The crosses are now going to simply be set to mixed, not onto the low. We're going to pass into the space, play out from the back. We're not going to have an emphasis on overlap and left and right, because I don't really want to make it too complicated and too aggressive, but they will do it naturally anyway. We're going to run at defence with the dribbling style. The tempo remains the same, but we're actually going to go one more up to slightly more direct. So again, really taking the game with an underdog team catches a lot of teams off guard. In transition, we're going to counter press and counter. We're still going to play like this because, to be honest, again, similar story. Weaker players might not have as much of a passing range in their locker, especially the goalkeepers. So play from the back line. We're still going to be playing out from the back, so we can still do that to full effect. And lastly, out of possession, very sensible approach. The standard line, the high press, the trigger press, just on more often. And lastly, get stuck in. But now to the defensive tactic to seal out your games, or to take in with a real lowdown team where maybe you just want pure control of the game. So now this tactic is purely for possession, those of you that really do love the ball. And I will say, if you are using it for an entire season, make sure you download all 3 tactics, because sometimes, as you saw with us, you'll be dominating a game but can't quite get the breakthrough, which is why you need to have all 3, because then you could switch to the normal one or the slightly more underdog one, which is very direct, get your goal, then go back to this play style. But anyway, the goalkeeper does remain the same. Both of the ball-playing defenders are both on defend, both on tackle harder. The fullback on the right and on the left, exactly the same as the previous variant. The DM on dribble less and Mark Titer, definitely not slightly more direct. The central midfield player on support, roam, moving into the channels, and of course tackling harder. And we actually go with an AP, an advanced playmaker, on support, on pass it shorter, dribble more, and simply roam from position. So again, a lot less of a risky midfield. The winger on the right and also on the left are both on pass it short, cut inside, roam, tackle harder, and also mark tighter, with the poacher being scrapped and a complete forward coming in simply on support with tackle harder. So what you're going to get here is a much more link-up sort of theme tactic where the wingers are going to cut in, play it short with the complete forwards, link up with the AP. The central midfield player also going to get heavily involved, and we also back that talk up in the team instructions. So again, clean slate, positive. The width down to fairly wide on this occasion. Low crosses are going to be favoured. Working the ball into the box is also going to be favoured on this one. We're still going to play out from the back. The dribbling all the way down to dribble less. The passing is going to go back down to much shorter, and the tempo down to slightly lower. So again, a real possession-based theme tactic here, which is perfect for a smaller team because you can sort of not take too many long ball risks, keep the ball, get a feel for the game. But as I said, if you're using this for a whole season, download all 3 so you can switch if you're failing to score a goal. So make sure you got that going on. But to actually switch to this to defend a game out with, it would be absolutely perfect. In transition, we're going to counter press, slow the pace down, play to anyone across the back line while taking short goal kicks. So again, we're not afraid to slow the pace down, keep it nice and simple, play it to the back line again. And lastly, out of possession, because of how sort of not slow this tactic is, we don't really want to go with a standard line. We're actually going to go with a higher line to push the team up and get them a little bit more sort of compact together. We're still going to be getting stuck in, and also we're going to have slightly more often when it comes to that trigger press. And that's going to give you boys and girls back home not 1, not 2, but 3 variants of the Pep x Arteta tactic combined all into one. Who's the better manager? I think we know the answer, but let me know in the comments what you think. If you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Once again, do not miss out on those wonderful perks. You can go and check that out in the description below, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.